What did Tom Brady prove last night?
Oh, man, a lot, like you said. But if I had to focus in on one thing, something that not only was inspirational to me, but something I would share with my children, as my son, surprisingly, at the young age of 5, was really into this game. He flipped his pick. I don't know what happened. He must have watched our show one day. You must have had a strong point, because all week he was Tom Brady and the Bucs, then he flipped to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I don't know if it was the bang of Mahomes or your points, but the point is my son flipped. But now I'm going to share with my son something I learned from Tom Brady, even watching the game yesterday. You got to start at square one, bruh. You got to start at square one in life in terms of process. Let me tell you what I learned by watching Tom Brady yesterday. That the Chiefs got too focused on achievement after the equal sign. How's it all going to add up? Are we going to be a dynasty? We going back to back, run it back, as they kept wearing those T-shirts and talking about it all year? Okay. And Tom Brady, with all of his greatness, which is even greater than the Chiefs. Matter of fact, it's greater than any other NFL franchise in history right now with his 7th ring. He showed me that he embodies what the process is, which is starting at square one. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about everything Tom Brady had to deal with. And then watching him once again be a Super Bowl MVP for the 5th time, extending that lead he has in that category as well. Tom Brady has to leave a destination that he's been in for 20 years, a system, 20 years, an identity that's now being renewed and really has to be restored somewhere else. He goes to a coach who's never won a Super Bowl. He goes to a situation where his offensive coordinator, my boy Byron Leftwich, who I chopped it up with this morning, actually was drafted after Tom Brady and retired before Tom Brady, but now is his offensive coordinator in authority. How crazy is that? Then he goes to that situation, he looks around. This is Tom Brady, who has the most wins of any quarterback in NFL history, looking around at a franchise with the most losses in sports history. And he just looks at all this adversity, adds it all up and says, is that all? Is that it? Let's go. And he got to work, where I saw the Chiefs not getting back to work in the same respect. They skipped square one. Tom Brady went to square one because he knew it was a new situation, plus he knew what is the ingredient for my success. The most important ingredient, his main ingredient, is his focus, man. He focused on the details, where the Chiefs just focused in on the summation of what those details look like. So what I learned from Tom Brady is simple. No matter how great you are at anything, never think that you're a master of the first step unless you bring yourself back to that place. That's what I learned, and that's what I'm sharing.
I respect that. I'm going to say Tom Brady proved to me he's the greatest winner of all time. I'm not going to say that he's the best of all time. I'm not going to say he's the most talented of all time.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into the debates about anything else, but he is by far the best winner of all time. We can talk about all other sports across all other centuries or decades, but it's harder to win now in pro sports than it has ever been. Period.
Because of the talent?
Because of the talent and because of the parity. It is harder to win now than it has ever been. Also because of the equality across realms of the country. Like, the most talented players in the other parts of the world are also maximizing their talent. So we're seeing that on a bigger stage than we've ever seen as well. So Tom Brady, playing in an era where it's hardest to win, is now winning at a clip that we haven't seen, especially in the sport of football. Like, so he won in New England, and we was all wondering, hey, is it Brady or is it Belichick? Then he moves to Tampa. I had my doubts. Y'all all know I had my doubts. You didn't, but I did. I was like, ain't no way he about to come out here and win a Super Bowl. Ain't no way that'll happen. Not only does he show up in Tampa, but year one, no offseason, wins a Super Bowl. The winning, it goes where Tom Brady goes.
Yes, it does.
Like, New England, Tom Brady leaves there, they don't win. Tampa, they don't win. Tom Brady shows up, they win. Whatever the equation is, plus Tom Brady equals Super Bowl.
Preach.
I don't care what begets that phrase. Whatever the equation is, plus Tom Brady equals Super Bowl. And I think that's what he proved, is like, it doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't necessarily matter the obstacles. If you throw me in the equation, then you are going to equal a championship or some caliber of excellence that you haven't previously experienced.
Well, yeah, and I think we're saying the same thing, maybe a room across from each other, because Tom Brady doesn't get bored with success. Everybody I know gets bored with success, and I never had this amount of success to get bored with, but I do understand what the difference is between Tom Brady and when he's running a team And Patrick Mahomes, or what the Chiefs went through this year in terms of their mindset. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick both echoed the same thing about championships. They all go to the team the next year and say, be careful in thinking that you're repeating as champions. Be careful in thinking that you're in a quest to repeat as champions, because you're not. Everything has changed. Trust me, this road will be completely different than the road of last year, including a lot of the players from last year won't even be a part of this year. Think about that versus the Chiefs. As soon as they won last year, it went off in my head like strike one, because they kept talking about the future. They kept talking about dynasty, Michael Jordan, back to back, run it back. And Tom Brady, in all of his success, and he's the last guy to run it back to back. Never forecast running it back to back. Tom Brady has the gaze that my coach used to talk about. If you want to run your fastest time, even where your eyes are, that matters. Now, where are your eyes when you run the fastest? A lot of people, you just walk up to them on the street and say, well, you got to look straight ahead. If you look straight ahead while you're running right now, you barely see your fingertips. But if you look down, as my coach told me, he said, always keep that gaze right in front of you. Look down. All of a sudden, you see more of you, and you see where you're trying to go. Tom Brady is exactly that. He sees what he needs to do. He sees what his teammates need to do in the process, and he sees where they're trying to go. But if you're Patrick Mahomes or your Chiefs and you're looking just straight ahead, another ring, another championship, you're missing what you're doing on the day-to-day, playing with that fire. What I saw from Patrick Mahomes was not the greatest effort in defeat. And I'm saying that in part because of the achievement. It was so dismal that I'm like, yo, you got more than that, Patrick Mahomes, somehow, some way. Maybe he didn't. Maybe the Bucs were beating it out of him. But I've seen Tom Brady in defeat go for 500 yards in the Super Bowl. Like the Super Bowl, we'll recover in the offseason. I just didn't see people going for broke on the Chiefs side. I saw them broken on the Chiefs side, to the point where only Travis Kelce kind of reminded me of who Travis Kelce was. Everyone else was just sitting out there in shock and awe of Tom Brady, who let the process take him to this place instead of his eyes already focused just on the Super Bowl.
I think the other big note I saw yesterday from Brady, what he proved, and it transcends football, you can be excellent at your craft if you take it seriously. Now, we praise Tom Brady because he's a football player and it owns one day of the week, so we all know just how excellent he is. Right. But I think Tom Brady, he showed a lesson to everybody at home watching the game.
Oh, you want to go
Take your craft seriously enough, and excellence will find you as you will find it. I mean, think, Sel, like, he's more passionate about the game than he's ever been. How you out here in an arguing match with Ty Matthew? Everybody know Ty a little bit crazy. Like, we all
that
know,
Badger came back.
Like, Ty a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady not backing down at the age of 43 from a shout, whatever they shouting about. Right. Tom Brady's like, no, I'm about that action too. You know what I'm saying? I might not have grew up where you grew up, how you grew up, when you grew up, with who you grew up, but I'm about that action too. I'm just as passionate about this game as I ever have been. So he showed me a lot last night, Tom Brady did. But I think the most important thing he showed was if you take your craft seriously, excellence will find you like it found him.